particularly youth that have been doing well in the areas of specialization, in the area of industrialization, entertainment, amongst the rest. It's a day assigned for you to know that they have value and they are recognized throughout the world. That no matter what the situation is, youth are being recognized in every area or stratas of life. So International Youth Day is a particular day that every youth should be rejoiced, just like we have the Saturday and every other day.
Would you say Nigerian youth has been doing so well for them to merit such a celebration?
Well, we have numbers of Nigerian youths that merit so well towards such celebration. Though we begin to now compare the numbers of the youth we have in our nation that are doing fine, that worth it, and those that are not worth it, one will be pathetic to see the fact that we do not deserve celebration. However, in other way, we say we are marking International Youth Day so that Nigeria will not be left out of the nations that are marking the day or that are celebrating the day. In some countries like that, youth should be happy, looking forward for the day. But in our case, it's quite discouraging that even if youth are making efforts, the environment is not giving them the opportunity to make it a day to celebrate. However, a day to ponder on where have we been, where we are, where are we likely to be in the next day. So in most cases, we won't call it celebration in Nigeria. We rather say we are marking the World International Youth Day.
In the very early 80s, 1980 to 1981, during the tenure of the late Chief Bola Ige, there was what we called Young Pioneers, and that was when International Youth Day was all over the place. Youths across the other states were gathered, given first, given shows, given tennis and all of that, and it was a beautiful, celebration in those
even up to around 2009, 10, 11. In Osun State, you used to have something like that.
Going up to 2013.
Yes, even up to 20. Around, I think it became a thing not to be reckoned with since around 2013, 14 downward here. And that is where you see the government not even paying attention to the youth.
I'm coming to that, if only you can just allow me to. And then, in our own youthful days and youthful years too, we were always looking forward to 2 dates. May 27, Children's Day, and October 1, Independence Day, and that is when we will go to the stadium for march past. And funny enough, many of us met our future wives there, and all of and all of that. But things seem to be petering out. Children's Day, any celebration, Independence Day, where youths come together, and what have you?
Well, just like I said earlier, that in our nation, one will feel it's going to be a pathetic situation, that all these days are not to be reckoned with again. And we begin to look at what are the factors that surrounds it. One will not have any other person to blame than the government, because the government are in the best position to bring everyone together in every areas of life. Like we have ministry in charge of the children, we have ministry in charge of youth, we have ministry in charge of local government and chieftaincy, who on many occasions will handle the Independence Day. Women and children affairs we used to handle the Children's Day, and obviously the Ministry of Youth is expected to handle the International Youth Day. And every day like that has agencies or ministries responsible for it. But when you begin to now say what happened, that these agencies or these ministries are not picking up to their responsibility, begin to look at going forward. Is it those civil servants in charge that are not helping the situation or what? But from investigation, we realized that it has been the political heads that has been the major challenge of these days, not even put into consideration that many that are even supposed to celebrate or to mark these days are not even paying attention to it again. So before you know it, these things are fading away. So now begin to wonder, why are the political head are not paying attention to it? Begin to see that, okay, most of them are not even interested in governance. They are more particular about the politics and their pocket than what will benefit or what will entertain or what the public will even see as something that will encourage them to start, we also have a sense of belonging in this government. So our political head are not paying attention to the public, unlike it used to have, like we used to have it before. If not for private agencies, maybe some corporate agencies who believe they can make money from some of these days again, they are the only one left out to celebrate some of these days. Like if my memory does not fail me, I know this institution also organized Children's Day. In fact, on many occasions, about 2-3 years ago, if I monitor it very well, it has been OSBC and some few other organizations that even celebrate what Children's Day now, not even the ministry in charge.
But let me come in here. Let us give this to the State Governor of Osun, particularly Minister of Special Duties. Last year, 2021, October 1, the previous year we couldn't hold it when children from GSS classes, SS classes up to university were given various topics to write essays. I was one of the markers and what have you, and they went home with thousands of naira and various.
Well, particularly, sir, that is where we begin to pay another attention to it. We can appreciate the state government because it was took up by the Ministry of Special Needs. But there's a particular ministry, special duty, but there's a particular ministry responsible for that.
And that is Ministry of Youth.
That's Ministry of either Ministry of if you are talking of children affairs. If you are looking at the Independence Day. Independence Day is not supposed to be celebrated where we can say Ministry of Special Duty because they have special duty, but there is a particular ministry in charge before them. Now, those involved in the celebration, who are they? They are perhaps students and youth. Meaning that looking from a critical angle, you expect Ministry of Education to also be in collaboration or particularly be the one to take up this idea. Okay. So what is the responsibility of Ministry of Home Affairs, Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, who used to, on many occasions, be responsible for international holidays or holidays like that? Okay. They are supposed to be the one to bring out activities for each of these days. If particular ministries that are supposed to do it is not taking up the responsibility, or they work in synergy. Okay. But they are not seeing it as a responsibility that they hold the public again. Perhaps they see it as, well, it does not really concern me because they don't even understand the value. And that is where we begin to advise whoever that becomes, that is in power, maybe the governor, the president, to ensure that whoever they will be appointed to one particular post or the other should be those that really understand the tenacity and the working principle of a particular ministry and agency. You don't bring an engineer to Ministry of Justice. You don't bring a lawyer to Ministry of Education. It does not correlate to each other. You bring somebody that understands social life, to understand social, that is a social worker, dynamics. That is a social worker to Ministry of Youth, than you taking somebody that understands social worker to Ministry of Education. These are two different things. So this is part of where we understand or where we study that some of these problems emanate. Okay. So if we begin to say, okay, we want to solve it, for example, now, the National Youth Council of Nigeria, during the celebration of International Youth Day, it is expected that you don't just go out there and pick youth up and down. There are organizations, there are local government branches. These are people you bring together. These are people that help you gather youth across the state. So you don't say you want to celebrate International Youth Day and you are not involving all this kind of, if you now say everybody cannot come. That's the fact. Because every youth will not come. Every structure, there is a structure that coordinates, that monitors, that supervises. So you go through this structure. If you have abandoned that structure and say you are doing something else, obviously you are not going to get the result. So this is how some of these things work.
Yeah, thank you, Ismail. Now, marking the day or marking the International Youth Day or celebrating, we have heaped the blames at the doorsteps or on the government rather. But let us look at developing the youths in particular. What we witnessed in Nigeria in the past 4 or 5 years, who do you blame for that? Where youth do not want to do anything but internet fraud?
Well, that would be a very wrong notion to qualify majority of the youth. If you say few,
I didn't say majority. No, I don't want to say few. I don't want to say majority. I said youths.
If you say youth,
that is not totality of
it. If you say youth is a general word.
I understand.
So obviously it has covered every numbers of youth. So it is better we begin to assign numbers that some particular set of youth
some
do not want to do any other thing than internet frauding. And that we will begin to say they are even limited in numbers.
Okay.
So you can't, because of, let's say, numbers of 10 people, because somebody amongst them is doing the wrong thing, not generalize that the whole numbers are doing, so it does not watch it. So there are numbers of you that you think some of them, you think they are into internet fraud, but when you go deep down, you see they are into online business. There are some online IT tech work online there that they are not fraud, like web designing, app designing. There are most of these are app we use on our phone. There are some youth in Nigeria that build it. I know of youth in this Oshobo who build an app that you can make your food order from it. Then it gets to the producer. A catering service somewhere there that sent. So he is an intermediary. So his own responsibility.
Mr. Chairman, let me cut in here. I understand you very well, and I'm sure you are not out to defend them. But you cannot tell me all those who instigated the NSAS protest of October 2020. It was a Jumat, it was a Friday, and of course I was doing a Jumat when I saw hundreds of them on motorbike. So by that number, we cannot say it's just 1 out of 10. And you knew by then.
Where?
And those guys that caused it and they were killing and maiming and destroying were not the type of youth you said were into business. Those into business, we know them. They have their offices, they have shops and all of that.
Yes, even at that, sir, if you see that numbers compared to the youth population, Oshobo as a case study, if you see that numbers,
yes, it's small.
Yes, if you see that number compared to the youth population we have in Oshobo, you know it's still a very minute number.
Okay.
This particular Friday you are talking about, I was also in my office. In fact, very close to one of the routes they passed through. So I was wondering, in fact, it was someone that just called me that you observed that some youth are on the streets protesting. Also protesting for what? Why would they start protesting? You know, essence of the thing started in Oshobo. Even before it spread across some part of the state of the federation. So it started in Oshobo. So when I was put the call across, I was wondering, because I was even busy, definitely, as many youth, like you said, as many youth be in their workplaces doing one or two things. So I have to some extent, finish up what I was doing so that I'll be able to get the fact of why I did protesting. Like you said, the protest started by some Yahubas because they were attacked by police officers. That was how the protest started. But that particular day was the last day those Yahubas came out for the protest. Was the first and the last day. The moment they started the protest, some other youth joined them.
I'm happy you said youth.
Yes, some other youth joined them in the protest. Don't forget the fact that economically Nigeria is in the mess. So that was what prompted some of the youths that joined them. Apart from them, there have been some, like myself, I've been a case of police brutality. So we have other numbers like that also joined the protest. You know, those that started the protest know they are into illegality. They withdrew because they know that if care is not taken, the police officer they say they are protesting against will be the one to handcuff or they arrest them at the protest ground. So they withdrew from the protest and left the sincere protesters. You get it now? So though at the course of the protest, there another thing that came up was that some youth who believe they also need amnesty also joined the protest. So some other youth who they believe it's an opportunity for them to make name also joined the protest. So this is one of the reasons why somebody like me took up the responsibility. So we are not going to give you guys the advantage of disrupting our state. So the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I was fully part of the protest, monitoring the way things were going.
Okay.
So there are some other things that happened that made me withdraw on Friday, that made me withdraw on Saturday. At the end of the day, whatever that happened then is a history for now. So there are so many things attached to that which I may not be allowed to say on here.
No, you won't.
So going by that, we can't say that particular. Even shortly after that, there was another protest where many of them brought out guns to face. So whatever that happens there are so many other information also attached to that as well that we have access to all this information that cannot be said on here. So this, because we cannot, because some few are into internet frauding and now generalize that many youths are into internet fraud. Meanwhile, let us now go back to why do youth now go into internet fraud? Not because we want to defend them, but because the fact that I'm a graduate of physics electronics. I have, on no occasion, bring out my CV anywhere to say I want to apply for a job, because I know the job is not even available. So I took up upon myself to start something better for my life. What of the numbers of youth that could not take that risk I'm taking? What do you expect them to do? Now,
Is it not riskier to go into crime than to do what you are doing?
well, it depends on our background, sir. My own background and my ideology do not believe in crime. So I have no reason to see it as an option in the first instance.
Good.
What of numbers of youth who careless? What of numbers of youth who, maybe even from their tender age, they have no mother, they have no father. They have been living like an orphan. They'll be struggling up and down, and at the end of the day, somebody that the first person that took them up is somebody who is into crime. The first person that will mentor such a person is the person who is into crime. While growing, in fact, in the particular area like that, I don't know, particular guy walked up to me, and what he was telling me was like, I was like, do I look like somebody who would do such a thing? It's one of this crime you want me to be coming into. In fact, it's something that one cannot imagine that youths can be recruiting youth to do. So there are numbers outside there. Apart from youth that do not see anyone to mentor them, there are also numbers who are also looking up to people to mentor into their illegalities. So if a youth does not have a well-prepared background, well mentoring, go to at least while in school, do not see somebody that will help him to mentor him at least to a better way of life, that him or her cannot decide this is kind of life I want to live. You don't expect such a person not to go into that direction.
Unemployment started staring Nigeria graduates in the face in the early 80s toward the mid 80s. I knew about all this. And for more than 20 years now, people have been saying that, look, there are no jobs anywhere. So as you go to school, learn something else. Learn, vocation, learn arts and all of that. What percentage of youth will you say has taken up this?
Well, going forward, from my little research and mix up amongst youth, I would say a very large percentage of youth, a very large percentage,
and into
vocations.
Good.
In fact, you won't be surprised that a single youth will have 2-3 different skills.
Exactly.
Before you want wondering, you don't need to stress yourself with 2-3 different skills. So why do youth now, we have moved from the era of encouraging youth to have one vocation or the other. Now they have the vocation. The vocation is not still giving them the expected result. Now, going to learn another vocation, if that one will be better. Now, let us now begin to see now. I have about 3-4 vocations. I've been making several efforts, at least to learn one, to learn two, to learn three. It's not a day job. I expected 1 or 2 or 3 of these to pay me. If it's not paying me, and I don't have a better background, and I'm not consistent, I don't have that, what I would call fear of God in me. Do you think I want to go back to illegality if I'm being introduced to? Because I even tried all the legalities, it's not working for me. Because the environment is not favorable. And that is where we will not have a choice than to be blaming government in their own part as well. Like, go to our ministries now. Go to our ministries, go to our local government headquarters now. You see, they are more or less like a desert.
They have been abandoned.
They have been abandoned. Government is not taking anything up to them. It is when the local governments are active that local government will look out to youth in their localities. Now, give a recommendation perhaps to the state ministry or agency to take up of whatever they have come out of. But this local government is not even functioning again. You can't go to local government and say you want to look for a youth director or youth officer in the local government. You won't even find one. You go to local government and say you want to look for a director or somebody in charge of social welfare. You won't even find one. Or the one that you won't find, they will even tell you file is not even available here for them to work. So what do you expect such a thing to happen? So our government has also abandoned the structure that's supposed to be helping in the development of our community. That will help youth. Before now, we used to go to seminars. Look at ministry, perhaps like, okay, the federal ministry is organizing trainings now. Empowerment, skill acquisition, everything. Federal government is still trying to organizes programs like that. But what is our ministries in the local government doing? Nothing. The worst we say we want to do is organize a seminar whereby we invite people from outside there. You do 2-3 hours lecture. After the 2-3 hour lecture, you disperse everybody, then everyone goes.
Okay, we have just 3 more minutes on the program. Now, your parting shots, kind of advice for this. Would you say, even though we are saying everybody should go to school, and so we know what is happening in our society, will you still say as a young man that everybody that goes to school must still be looking for paid jobs, or must combine certificate with other vocations?
Long ago, I've been saying to our colleagues that there's no white collar job outside. Meanwhile, even if you get that white collar job, anybody paying you 10,000 naira, be rest assured that that person is making a profit of 100,000 naira on you before you could afford to give you 10,000. So the strength that you are putting into that person's business to hand that person 100,000 naira, put it to your life, you are going to make something better.
Okay.
I have a cousin. When he was telling me, in fact, I was like, this is the best advice I should have given you, but you have taken up this advice yourself. He has an Android phone, and he felt I can start to be producing cream. He sold the Android phone to buy materials
To produce
cream this time around, to be producing cream. So he sold his Android phone for a particular month. He does not have any phone. So a month after, he got a small phone, at least for him to be communicating, to the supplying and everything. 3 months after, he bought another 2 Android phones. This is an advice I should have given you as a cousin, but you have taken up this advice on yourself. So he was even like an inspiration to me, that if I was a lazy person before he told me that, I will have said he's the only person that inspires me to know what I'm supposed to do about my life. So many youth out there have an Android phone, but they don't know the value. The best they do outside there is to watch film, follow somebody or a necessary person on Facebook, on Instagram, watch porn outside there. That's the best some youth know how to do. Why don't you take up that phone that worth 50, 100,000 naira to start something of 5,000, which will handle another millions of naira within the shortest period of time?
Thank you so much, Comrade Ismail Abdulaziz, the Chairman, National Youth Council Osun State Chapter. We cannot but continue to blame the government for the woes befalling, our youth. Even though government is not static. Yes, today, many of those who are in government today, 40, 45, 50, 30 years ago, were also like you, blaming the particular government. So which means the next 10 years, some of you too will still be in government, and some people
will still be blaming. But I want to believe that there will definitely be a paradigm shift.
Let us hope so. Let us pray and let us all work towards it.
The present situation is already giving hope.
Okay.
That there will be a paradigm shift. At least before now, youth are not concentrating to our political and governance but at least they are paying more attention like we used to do in previous years. So meaning that attention now, even if we are not getting it right now, hopefully there will definitely be improvements. Then we'll get it right very soon.
Thank you so much for being my guest this afternoon.
Thank you very much, sir.
But that brings down the curtains on this week's edition of Newsmaker on OSBC Television. Oluwatoyin Yusuf is my name. Join us Tuesday next week. Goodbye.
We bring you face to face with individuals whose thoughts and actions command viewers' attention and elicit comments.
Penetrating